I'm Jashan. I'm the founder and director of iFood Design. We're coming together and piecing together the artists and the European food systems.
Basically, our ideas seem to be like the opposite because mine was based on tradition and hers was based on AI. So it seems like two opposite sides. Because my idea was focused on the topic of seasonality, the fact that we are losing knowledge about seasonality because the whole year you can find everything in the supermarket, whatever kind of vegetable in whatever moment of the year. And while our grandmas, at least I based this story on my grandma, I'm from Sicily in Italy. She used to grow her own vegetables. So obviously, she was eating in season without even knowing that she was eating in season. So that's a knowledge that she had without studying it, but right now everybody are losing it. And Natalia's project was about the critique of the tendency of AI to flatten all the recipes. So if you ask for a recipe to whatever AI, ChatGPT or something, they will just give you a list of instructions to follow, and there is no awareness about cooking. It's just, this list of instructions that you follow and you don't put your own knowledge in it. While our grandmas, we were saying before in the break room, uh, like my grandma used to knead the bread, like understanding if it was ready, touching it, or like putting the yeast next to the salt, but keeping it aside without really knowing like chemistry, obviously. And so the idea is to develop a speculative project where we will put a grandma talking to AI, basically. And now Natalia will tell you how we thought how to put all this.
Of course, thank you very much, Martina. For me, it's amazing to work together because actually we make like a great click of both projects. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more also about me. I am half French, half Colombian. Right now, I'm in Bogota, but I travel all the time to Paris because half of my family is from Paris. So I have both, like the heart in both parts. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the project and to hear also what you think about it. Our project explores like the intersection between the ancestral culinary knowledge of the grandma of Martina and artificial intelligence, like through a speculative and symbolic dialogue. We want that tension. We believe that tension is very powerful because a conversation between the Martina grandmother and the knowledge of the seasonal cooking and the algorithm could be very interesting to like to generate a dialogue and an introspection. This is not about presenting like the perfect dessert made by IA. No, this is about using like food as a pedagogical tool. That is what we want to medium, to question, to learn, to reflect, and how different ways of knowing coexist, but also confront or even ignore like many stuff like the senses and the family and the ancestral knowledge and how do you feel and how you sense and all the emotions that you have when you create a dessert, for example, and also because desserts like very and a very emotional moment. So rather than asking what IA, yes, can optimize in gastronomy, no, we want to ask what kind of knowledge is like a little bit displaced when we no longer cook with our senses, with our stories. Our family stories are so important. Um, and when an algorithm suggests a recipe, what could a grandmother's, the Martina's grandmother, can respond with, like the embodied memory, with gestures, with emotional and the cultural depth. So we want a little bit like to understand that, not to understand, to present that dialogue, and to also to
Raise
make those
questions
take
about it.
yes, to make that tension really present, so we can have some reflections. I believe so. So we're going to make a recipe with the seasonal ingredients of a spring. Why spring? Because spring, Martina's original wanted the fourth season, but we talk a little bit about to select one season, and we believe that the spring is the moment because the springs mean change, and this is a moment like of changing. The world is changing a lot, so it's the moment to say, okay, we're going to make a symbolism with spring. We want to select some fruits that the Martina's grandmother used to use in this moment. I believe there are some like citrus and strawberries and rhubarb and other stuff. And we want to make a dessert very symbolic of this season and something that represents Martina's grandmother. So we're going to talk to her and we want to make the dialogue with the IA. And we want to have this dialogue, the grandmother with the IA, to create the final dish and to make all this tension and all these questions that are going to, I believe, the commensal or the person that are going to eat going to make. We still don't know the final recipe. Maybe it's a panna cotta, lemon honey, strawberry marmalade. We don't know, or maybe we will we will have the expectation to first of all talk to grandmother, the Martina grandmother. That's the first step. So we haven't already the final recipe, but we're going to configure that the next 2 weeks, I believe, that the next 8 days at least. And then we're going to make the configuration of the dessert. And finally, we're going to make the video. We still don't know how the video is going to be, but I believe that we have to show how Martina's grandmother is making the process with the artificial intelligence, and maybe a comparison of how she make the dessert and how I make the dessert. I don't know. We're still exploring, and well, soon we have no new news.